Mr. Investor Lot, welcome back to the channel. What's going on, everybody? We're going to be discussing Nano Dimension's earnings call today. Shout out to all of my Nano Dimensioners. So guys, the earnings call came out and we were watching it on live stream of another YouTuber live streaming it because we could barely get in. But there was some very interesting things said within that call. And at first I was like, heck nah, there's nothing good here. But then I watched it over and over again and I found some juicy spots. So for everyone that joined me today, I just want to say thank you so much. And thank you to this YouTuber called Rob G Investing, Robbie G, because without him live streaming we wouldn't have got in, because I ended up live streaming his live stream. Okay, so the basic overview of the call was just to spark investor confidence, but some of the questions were very interesting, but it was the statement right at the end towards the call which made me very bullish on Nano Dimensions. It's kind of confirming what we watched before in a previous live stream, and it's very interesting, his terminology. So please watch this until the end, and if you find this valuable and entertaining, please consider joining my Patreon down below in the description box to support me as a creator. You can join any tier level. We now have 7 Patreons. Come on, 7 of us. But what we're going to be doing is actually building out the Discord group, and we're going to be talking about all our favorite stocks and doing DD in there together, so everybody can bounce ideas off each other and present forward some of the research into stocks that we like. You'll also see any stocks that I'm currently looking at. I'll also post my videos in the Patreon group and Discord group before I put them up, and you'll be able to see the videos before anyone else. Okay, let's break down this video and make sure you watch until the end. Tell me what you think of it. Also, if you're unable to join my Patreon or to click channel memberships, just you hitting like and clicking subscribe on this video is enough for me. Thank you so much for watching. Let's go. Oh baby, it looks like we're in the car, man. So guys, this really surprised me, this statement. In terms of the PCB industry, it was bigger than I thought, and when he mentioned it, I was always looking at the market size. It was $75 billion, and of course he states we're the global leader in this field of 3D printing PCBs, but listen to what he says here.
70 billion industry on the low side and 250 billion industry of PCB.
So next, yoav spoke about mergers and acquisitions. He's talking about people taking the mickey with inflated evaluations and prices.
They are asking us to pay more, and we say no. Whoever is there and behaving this way, we're going to leave them behind and move forward.
That's right, leave them in the dust, yoav. We never want to see their faces again. So next, we're always wondering, what is this guy up to? When are they going to complete the merger and acquisition? And here he states there are some people that have already signed the letter of intent. Signed and delivered, baby. And now he's starting the deep DD into them.
M&A activity, we have few, much more than one letter of intent already signed. We're in the process of due diligence on few M&As at once. The gates were opened.
The gates have opened. We are ready to rumble. Come on, yoav. Next was this bloody ruthless shortcut response by yoav, by somebody asking questions about more direct offerings.
Feel that you have enough money to execute your plans on a buyout, merger, acquisition, whatever you want to call it? That's my first question.
Yes.
So you're done. Okay.
He was like, the answer is yes, and the guy was like, okay.
Enough money to execute our present strategy.
Ruthless and straight to the point, like a dagger. So the next thing that sparked my interest was he spoke of desirable characteristics of materials they're currently researching and developing.
So certain, be it ceramics or others, improve both the electrical characteristics of the material, the insulation characteristic of the material, the conductivity, and we file patents when we find solution and we feel that should be protected.
Protect it like your baby, dear yoav. Protect it. So that kind of statement there was very interesting, and later on in the video as well, don't skip any of it, because later on in the video you're going to find out why it's really interesting, that statement on materials. So the next thing they were talking about was Australian sales. So they managed to close some sales in Australia and the Pacific Rim. However, there was no sales in Europe and no one in the labs, because the last 2 months they had this Brazilian strain here in Europe, we had a South African strain here in Europe, and high levels of C19 here in London. So I'm going to show you in a second. As you can see here, this is a graph of the United Kingdom. This is a C19 cases, and you can see, as you're saying, the last 2 months, so from January and February, there was still a high caseload, especially in January, early January. You can see here the cases skyrocketed. So it's understandable why a lot of people won't be in the lab working, because everybody's working from home right now, and it wasn't very safe for people to be in the lab.
Change in the east, that being Australia and the Pacific Rim. We actually sold machines there at the end of the quarter.
And then next there was a question shot at him regarding NASA and L3 testing out our components in space. And they asked him if he was also working with any other companies, private companies, probably presuming, are you working with like SpaceX?
We don't 3D print in States. What we do with NASA and Harris, L3 Harris, is we do 3D printing on the ground and on very, very unique components, high-performance electronic devices, and those components were taken up to space and in the process of being taken more and more in this cooperation in order to test them in space and to see how do they perform in an environment of obviously different radiation, lack of gravity, etc. But it's not that we bring up a machine to space to print. We just send them the components to space.
Yeah, so those satellite components, those are 3D printed by you guys and then taken by NASA up to the ISS? Okay.
Yes.
Have any private companies pursued your technologies?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Have any private space ventures pursued your technologies?
No, we work with NASA and we work with Harris.
So I think they've got an exclusive deal with those two companies, and maybe it's signed to them that they're not allowed to work with other space venturing companies. And that's who they've selected as their partners. Also, regarding one of the acquisitions that they're doing in Europe, they're trying to acquire a Central European company which can do high-level hardware building. So it's got to be a high-level technical hardware building company.
Actually looking even to acquire companies in Central Europe, which are companies that will accelerate the speed of building machines, because we're looking at companies in Central Europe which are expertise are building machines and the hardware side in a very, very high level.
Also, with regards to our machine and any problems and feedback that we have from customers, Yoav said that they're very customer orientated, and he said this is a big response from potential customers. They look for higher yields of products and they want them to speed it up for mass production, and that's important to listen to your customer feedback. This is what Yoav said.
But into our own products. And B, your machines are great, but if we want to put them into production, which we do, because the prototyping is great, but we want the yield and the throughput to be faster. And frankly, they're right.
The next person that came in, they phoned up and they asked a question about acquisition of companies. Are you just going to acquire small parts of companies? And Yoav stated they don't want a small piece of companies. They want to acquire and they want control.
No. First of all, we are focusing on taking 100% of companies. We're not investment companies. We're not going to invest and take a partial stake in a company. We are interested to buy them in order to integrate them and to get the benefits of the integration. Either it's integration of technology or it's integration of their distribution channels and go-to-market methodologies.
And now he states he wants to buy more than one company, but less than 20. So he's saying we're not going to go everywhere and just be like some sort of headless chicken, just buying up so many different companies. He said he's focusing on a few companies and it's going to be more than one.
We will acquire a few companies. As I mentioned earlier, I am in negotiations. I don't want to say with how many, but it's many more than one in parallel, in due diligence in parallel. But we're not going to buy 20 companies. We are not going to do a roll-up.
The man also stated that there are overvalued companies and people trying to take him for a ride. Yeehaw! Flying horse, baby!
About 2 or 3 of them, I don't remember exactly, because their ideas about their value was totally out of whack.
Now, this was one of the best statements in terms of him giving us transparency. There's going to be no bonuses. There's going to be no boosted salaries. This was one of the best statements he could have given to investors who want total confidence in this man and what he's trying to achieve.
And I can tell you one thing else for you and for everybody else on this call. We did not increase salaries to anybody in this company. We did not pay bonuses other than 1 or 2 exceptions, which are very small, less than a few $1,000s per person to people which really performed. We did not pay bonuses for myself because this is your money, and we're not going to do it. We're neither going to increase salaries, nor we're going to pay bonuses. We're going to work until the performance of the company will be more than just raising your money. And the performance of the company and ourselves as executives is going to be by increasing value for your money. So that's our commitment, and that's what we're doing. And rushing into M&A and paying quickly is not going to make it.
Preach, Daddy Yoav, preach to us, preach, baby. And then somebody was asking him about, disruption to materials. They were saying, is there disruption to your supply? Can there be disruption to your materials? Talking about our nano silver, baby. And Yoav said no.
So all our supply chains are from the West, and most of what we build here in the R&D facility or the manufacturing facility that we have in Israel and now in the States. So we didn't have any disruption.
No disruption. Then Ruthless Yoav was at it again with this ruthless answer.
Make sure I understand. I'm talking about the actual raw materials used to produce your product.
That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about. No malarkey, no nonsense, straight ruthless. Then somebody was clowning. I think they're clowning around, baby. Somebody asked about dividends. Oh my goodness, what is he smoking?
Yeah, just a quick question. Should we anticipate any dividend announcements this year?
Nope.
Absolutely not.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. They specified no dividends at all. Come from.
Man, he was just tickling our balls. He was just tickling them. So for me, now I'm going to show you the most interesting statement. He's talking about different materials. So I think they must be going after the Italian biosensor company. Remember the one we saw in AME? Just listen to what he says. And I think he's going after it because he's talking about these interesting materials. He's talking about interesting stuff working out. And he's talking about medical industry. So just take a look at this clip.
Specifically to your question, yes, we are looking to move to adjacent industries. Very exciting because there are industries that are selling. We're not going to move out of 3D printing, but we may move to adjacent industry niches, which are 3D printing of micromechanical, not only micro-electromechanical pieces. It's very exciting because it is selling to the same verticals we are selling. It is selling to the defense industry, to the aerospace industry, to the aviation industry, to the very high-end auto industry, to the very, very high-end medical industry. And those kind of technologies are, first of all, can be integrated with electronics, but also can be sold as micromechanical devices, nano devices, which are not only with electronics. And we are looking to expand into that. So the answer is yes.
So this is the kind of statement that makes you think about Nano Dimension in a different perspective. When we're looking at Tesla, we're seeing that not only are they an EV company, but they're also looking at being, an autonomous kind of robo-taxi, but they're going into the energy industry as well. And when we see the same thing happen with Square Inc., for example, which changed from a payments provider, a solution finder for businesses, financing Square Capital, now they're going into the music industry and they're buying that up as well. So take a look at this and what he said and take a think about what companies we could acquire. So in terms of micro electrical mechanical systems, we can see here current MEMS devices include accelerometers for airbag sensors, inkjet printer heads. We're looking at computer drives. We're also looking at blood pressure sensors, right? Biosensors, optical switches here. But he stated that we're not just looking at micro electrical mechanical, but we were looking at other micro mechanical stuff. And I remember him talking about the exploration of graphene as well. So could we be going also into producing some stuff from that? Could we be producing all of these different types of materials, not only ceramic, but can we start to create carbon stuff, different types of composite materials as well? And if we start exploring this industry as well, are we going to start to take market share from companies like X1, which do more than 20 metal, ceramic and composite powders? Or with his acquisition, will we be acquiring a company like X1? Remember, Mark Forge is merging with A1. So will we be exploring other industries that these guys are actually looking towards? We can see here that Mark Forge has proprietary carbon fiber composites. And when Yoav was talking about SPACs, could this be one of his targets before, but the SPAC kind of wave took it away from him and it just went at crazy valuations in which he wasn't able to afford. So now overall, my perspective is, I have high confidence in this company. Yoav is holding us up by the nuts. He is telling us be strong and be rewarded. Just to summarize, baby, let's put this into perspective. Yoav Stern basically gave investors confidence. They're not going to waste our money. And his aim is to give us returns of 3 to 4x from this merger and acquisition. He wants to make sure it's well spent. He wants a 3 or 4 times return, he said in that interview. There's some final stages with one company. They've agreed a price. Also management and pay structure. He said no bonuses. He said no improved salaries. He said no dividends. They are focusing solely on growth, and all the money from us as investors is for making the company grow to reach its full potential. And we can actually serve other markets. He's also increased the amount he's been spending on research and development expenses for the fourth quarter of 2020, $3.7 million compared to $1.5 million of the fourth quarter of 2019. Increased amount of sales and marketing, $2.3 million here in comparison to the fourth quarter of 2019, which was $1.3 million. So cash burn is up, research and development is up. He also said that he wants to finish the machine early. So he's talking about the Dragonfly. He wants to release an improved version of the Dragonfly before summer, early summer he was saying. So he's trying to put pressure on his staff to complete that. Also working with new materials, looking at new markets, new patents, and completing that machine. Aiming for mass production, baby. Also remember, none of this is financial advice. This is for entertainment only. And if you enjoy this type of content, please sign up to my Patreon to support me as a creator and also join the community. It'll be fun to have you around. Or you can join my channel here. You can join absolutely any level. I appreciate all of you guys helping support me. It means the world to me. But if you're unable to join channel memberships or the Patreon group, just you hitting like and clicking subscribe on this video means the world. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining me for the live stream. Thank you so much for always supporting me. Mr. Invest a Lot, over and out, baby.